Hey there guys, this is Reckles with WTBGold, and today we have some very important time-sensitive news regarding a really profitable flip opportunity. Before we start, I do want to say that look, we have merch! We have Transmog Doesn't Sell t-shirts up on our Teespring shop. If you want to go show off how much Transmog doesn't sell, then there's a little Teespring integration down underneath the video. They're a lot of fun. I like them. Okay, but let's get into it. So today, we're going to start off by giving a little background, because anytime you are talking about a flip, you want to understand the market, and some of you aren't high-end progression raters. So, quick 60-second summary. As you get into harder and harder content, you stop caring so much about just your raw eye level, and you start to care more about your itemization. So, for instance, we're over here on the website Blood Mallet. Shadow Priests, they want their gear to be a 50-50 split of crit and haste. And if they get that, then they can do 20,000 damage more than if they just went full mastery. On the other hand, we've got Havoc Demon Hunters. And if they had, let's say, 100 points of corruption to spend, they could do 20,000 damage per second just from Infinite Stars. Or if they had Twilight Devastation instead, they'd be doing 7,000. So blah, 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 this is min-maxing. This is how the method guys do 2 times as much damage as you do, even though they have the same eye level. So how do you get that gear? Well, traditionally, the way has been you go into the raid and you look at the loot available and you say, this is the stat distribution I want, and you just go kill that boss every week on the hardest difficulty you can until RNG blesses you with one of those items. In BFA, Blizzard introduced something new with professions, where they removed all the raid quality crafted and sellable gear. Actually, they removed any dungeon quality sellable gear too. We only have like pre-World Quest quality. It's very strange. Hopefully something they fix going into Shadowlands. But essentially, each armor type does have 2 raid quality crafted pieces, but they're BOP. For 8.3, it's the unsettling version, and then you make that. This is 440, and then once you make that, you can craft the 445 version, and then once you make that, you can craft the 470 version. For a prog raider, you have to have that profession, usually the crafted armor type of what you wear, and jewel crafting. Now, the crafted pieces and the crafted rings have been best in slot for a lot of the expansion until 8.3, when corruption started mattering a whole lot more. So you can't have corruption on them, so they're not as valuable as they once were, and in my opinion, I think that's one of the reasons why we've seen a decline in crafting reagent prices over the course of the patch. There's just not as much of a demand for them as there used to be. Okay, so hopefully that gives y'all enough of background on this, even if you aren't a max level raider. So, what's new? What's coming? As of this Tuesday, Mother now offers preserved contaminants, which allows you to put specific corruption of your choosing onto any piece of gear that doesn't have a corruption on it already, or any piece of gear that hasn't been cleansed. And this is actually already live right now. If we go over and talk to Mother, you can see that we have Twisted Appendage, Masterful, you've got an Ineffable Truth. You can also buy vessels now. Yay. So, twice a week, 6 of the 52 available corruptions will show up cycling through. So, first off, this is pretty big news for gold making. What does this mean? All right, so back over to Wowhead, we've got a list of the BOEs that drop in the raid. Pretty much, in a nutshell, if a Lurking Schemers band dropped with a really good corruption on it, it would be worth 10 times as much if it was a 450 piece with a good corruption versus if it was a 470 piece with no corruption. The corruption was all that people were really buying. And it was expensive because the corruptions were a huge gamble, and this was a way of bypassing RNG. Well, now Blizzard has introduced a way to bypass RNG. So the value of these raid drop BOEs with corruptions are going to go down, but the ones without corruption are going to meet them in the middle. And just to show you, we've got a 475 with infinite stars for 2 million, and then we've got one with just plus haste for 180k. I actually heard a story today of someone who spent 8.5 million gold buying out all the uncorrupted gear on their auction house, went to Mother to go put the corruptions on it, only to find out that when you put a corruption on a piece of gear, it makes it soulbound. So, ouch. Hopefully they're able to move those uncorrupted items, and maybe even at a higher price. As a little side tangent, this is a good opportunity to say, if you are looking to invest in flipping or just make any big moves on the auction house, make sure you're not investing any more than about a third of your total liquid gold into the flip, because don't gamble what you don't want to lose. Okay, so that's where we were yesterday. Corrupted gear flipping is gonna tank and uncorrupted gear flipping is gonna boom. And then today, Blizzard dropped another bomb on us, where Kaivax said, we intend to soon deploy a hotfix that will make Season 4 crafted items corruptible using the new contaminants. Season 4 crafted items. So, what does this mean? Essentially, going back to my Demon Hunter, is the uncanny stuff going to be sellable? No, like, this is eye level 400. It's not even, you can get world quest items that are 415. There's no reason for uncanny combatants gear to exist. What they're talking about is you can make 470 gear. If you make enough of them, then they can roll with the exact stat distribution that you want with a socket, and then you can put your best in slot corruption on it. So, okay, that makes the uncorrupted gear flipping market go away. Sorry to that guy who spent 8 million gold. Oh, you can't sell these. You can't make a bunch of them and sell them on the auction house. So this just means we're going to see a huge spike in the raw material market. Specifically, we're looking at the 8.2 crafting reagents from Nazjatar, and there's 7 of them that we care about. So if you want to make gold from this change, here's what I recommend. Go on the Undermine Journal and look up the price of Gilded Seaweave, Dredged Leather, Crag Scale, Osmanite, and then for jewel crafting, you've got Leviathan's Eye, Sage Agate, and Asharine. So here we go. I'm going to go over to the Undermine Journal, look up Osmanite ore, and I see that on my server, the price is pretty consistent with where it's been for the past month. It started off at 20 gold a month ago and is down to 10 gold right now. So what I'm about to do is I'm going to go buy some of this up, because this is about to spike, and it's about to spike a little bit more than we've seen in the past, because Blizzard is about to make us absolutely hate RNG. The Eldritch Osmanite leg guards require 400 Osmanite ore, 75 Storm Silver, 60 Expulsum, and then some crafting reagents along there. So pretty much the only thing we really care about is the Osmanite ore and the Expulsum. 400 Osmanite ore to make one of these. But the thing is, as you prog guys are well aware of, just because you make one of these doesn't guarantee that it rolls with the stats that you actually want. So the Eldritch Osmanite leg guards can roll with 6 different suffixes. You've got of the Quick Blade, of the Peerless, of the Fire Flash, of the Fever Flare, of the Aurora, and of the Harmonious. And that's it. Yeah. So either crit verse, crit mastery, crit haste, haste mastery, haste verse, and verse mastery. But it's not just that simple. As you can see here, there's actually 7 different types of the Harmonious. So it can either roll with the stats mostly into mastery, about halfway split between both, or all the way into verse. And if you are a top 100 raider, you are looking for the exact stat distribution that you want to do the most damage possible. So, what does that mean for gold making? Well, I put together a little spreadsheet. If you are just going for, let's say you need crit mastery for your class, so you're going for of the peerless. Well, it doesn't matter what you're going for. You have a 1 in 7 chance every time you craft one of the BOP crafted 470s to make it. That is a 14% chance to get it after one craft. So, in order to have a 50% chance to get it, you'd need to craft it 5 times. If you want to be pretty sure that you'll get it, then you need to craft it 11 times. If you want to be absolutely positive that you get it, then you're going to have to make 20 of them. And that's just if you want any distribution of stats in crit and mastery, but only crit and mastery. Well, if you are a prog raider, then you have 42 different options every time you craft a piece of gear. So if you want crit and mastery, but all the stats into crit, then you have a 2% chance of that happening. Which means in order to have a coin flip chance at getting the thing you need, you have to make 29. In order to be sure that you'll get it, you need to make 67. And in order to be absolutely positive that you get it, you need to make 125 of the crafted items. So, what kind of effect is this going to have? Well, I put together another little spreadsheet. I like spreadsheets, all right? Look, it's fine. Just looking at the plate legs, it uses 400 osmonite each. Osmonite is going for about 25 gold a piece, which means for each crafted item, you're going to have to spend about 19,000 gold. The expulsum is something that I haven't talked about that most of you are familiar with at this point in the expansion, but the best way to get expulsum is through Tide Spray Linen bracers, the 225 crafted bracers. Get a whole bunch of Tide Spray Linen, give it to a tailor, they pump out a whole bunch of bracers, then you take those bracers and you go and you scrap them. That's the only way worthwhile of getting expulsum. And in order to get 60 expulsum without recrafting anything, you're going to need 3,600 Tide Spray Linen. And that means if you want to make 5, you're going to need to spend 100,000 gold on the 470 item with the basic stat distribution you want. If you want the exact stat distribution, you're going to be looking at spending about 2.4 million gold. But more importantly, you're going to be buying 50,000 osmonite off the auction house. So the moral of this video, for each person who makes one of these 470 crafted pieces in order to put corruption on it, they're going to need to buy between 2,000 and 50,000 osmonite or dredged leather or whatever in order to make what they want. But that said, you're not just making the legs. You're also blacksmiths, also make waists, and you have the rings that you can craft. So there are going to be a lot of people buying a lot of these materials. And again, just going through it, the materials we care about are gilded seaweave, dredged leather, crag scale, osmonite, Leviathan's Eye, sage agate, and a sharine. But then also, because of just this huge amount of Tide Spray Linen that, like, for the 125 person, they're buying 450,000 Tide Spray Linen off the auction house. Even just the 5 person is buying 20,000 Tide Spray Linen off the auction house. Now, they're going to be getting expulsum in other ways as well, but this is how you generate expulsum if you're starting from 0. So with that kind of shock to demand, I'm expecting prices to go a little crazy right off the bat. So my step 1 recommendation was to check the Undermine Journal for prices. Make sure that the prices right now are about what they've been over the past month. If so, you have my blessing to buy. Prices will probably increase. No guarantees, but I'd expect prices over the next week or two to go spike up anywhere between 50% higher, and on some servers with weird competition, we may see like 4 or 5 times as much. Step 2, if you're on a server that has a really high quantity of progression raters, then you want to keep an eye out on these. Just go in, talk to Mother, see if one of the best contaminants available are up at Mother. So here's the sneaky thing that's going to happen. Put yourself in the shoes of a buyer. Let's say you're a marksmanship hunter and you know that Gushing Wound is the best available, even despite the nerf. Infinite Stars is second best, but you see Expedient or Whispered Truths or Twisted Appendage. You see one of these up on the auction house, and right now, the only corruption you have is Deadly Momentum. You're raiding today or tomorrow, like you're raiding soon, you want a DPS boost. And this right here would be a 5 or 10,000 DPS increase. So it would be worth it, especially if you're struggling on a boss. So you would buy one of these, which means you'd have to go through this whole process. And you're happy, you're great, your DPS increased, you're more optimized than you were the week before, but then the week after you spent 100,000 gold buying enough materials to make the armor and put the right corruption on it, Mother's inventory changes over and she now has Infinite Stars. Well, then this is another 5,000 DPS increase. So you go back through buying the whole thing, then you're happy your DPS increased again, and then the week after she gets Gushing Wound. So what we're going to see isn't just a spike and then it falling off over the course of the rest of the expansion. We're going to see a spike and then it'll fall off for about a week, and then it'll spike again, and then it'll fall off, and then it'll spike again. It'll keep dropping over the course of the expansion, but it won't just be one solid fall off. It'll fall off and keep spiking over the course of the expansion, which is really it's smart. I like it. I'm glad I'm not doing any prog rating right now. But that's it. So check the auction house for prices on your server. Don't buy out the entire thing. Don't spend all your gold on this flip. I'm just a YouTuber who doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't want you to hate. These are raw materials though, so they're going to be consistently good for a while. You're not gonna lose everything unless you buy them at stupid prices. So check the prices first. If you have a bunch of prog guys on your server, you're going to see an increase in prices based on what Mother has available. And if you have some top 100 people on your server, you're going to see some crazy price spiking because people are going to be buying. What even is that? But then again, the prog guys have probably already cleared the raid. So we'll see on that one. But I'm excited. This will be fun to watch and keep my eye on. If you specialize in flipping raw reagents, or if you specialize in BoEs, flipping BoEs, then please leave some tips for the community down in the comments, and I look forward to reading them. Hopefully you're subscribed if you want to be aware of gold making markets like this in the future. And remember to get a shirt. Okay, bye guys. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck and happy gold making.